Sounds great. Thank you for the introduction. Everyone, my name is Sri Gaday, and I am the Executive Director at Blue Tree Allied Angels. Blue Tree is an investment fund that invests in early stage startup companies. But today, what I'll be talking about is how, as engineers, we can develop our brand. And before I jump into the talk, I'll just give you guys a quick agenda of kind of what we're going to be covering. First, we'll talk about some of the objectives of this talk and kind of why your brand actually matters. Then we'll spend a bit of time talking about how do you identify your personal brand? How do you identify what's unique about you? Following that, we'll talk about how do you market your brand? How do you get it out there? Once you know what it is, how do you get everyone else to know what it is that's unique about you that'll make you succeed where others will fail? And then at the end, I'll take some questions or answer some questions that have come up during the talk. And so with that, I'll jump into the objectives. And really, the objective for today's talk is to help everyone understand how can they leverage what makes them unique to help them move forward in their careers. And the reason that this is so important is for most of us, we're going to be in our careers for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And if it's something that we enjoy doing, that will change the quality of life for us for that entire time frame. And if it's something where we are going to, but we don't like it or don't like parts of it, we may or may not understand why, but we will dread work for that entire 3, 4, 5 decades worth of time. And so what I really want to do is make sure that all of us are figuring out how to identify which careers or what types of careers or what types of career moves make the most sense to us as a person, as opposed to our skill set or our education or anything else. And this becomes even more important in looking at where the world is today with COVID-19 and everything else that's going on. As we come out of this, there will be a lot of opportunities and there will be a lot of stress across the world and across basically every industry. And as we start to learn how to deal with that, there will be a number of opportunities for all of us to take advantage of, and identifying which ones make the most sense for you now in terms of a longer term outlook as to where your career is and who you are and how that fits into what your plans are moving forward will allow you to use this next portion of this year, let's say, or at least kind of this economic downturn, to really position yourself to really have an accelerated career once we come out of this. And so first, before we can actually talk about how you figure out what you want to do or what makes the most sense for you, first you have to really stop and think about who you are as a person. And what do I mean by what is a brand? And here I'm going to step back a little bit into my background. So my background is I was an electrical and computer engineer out of Carnegie Mellon. I worked for Intel for 6 years, and then I went and got my law degree and was a patent attorney for 7 years. And as a patent attorney, my job was to help companies identify technology or other things that they developed that differentiated them from their competition. In a very similar way, you as engineers need to really think about what it is that makes you special, makes you who you are, and makes you able to succeed where others are not going to be able to succeed. Because that's how we really develop as a career. That's how we really build a career. Oftentimes, if you think about those people who have been extremely successful, whether in your family or in your company or the world as a whole, many of those people are doing things that they love. Sure, they're getting paid a lot of money for it, but the fact of the matter is the money is secondary to their enjoyment. They really, truly, honestly love what they're doing on a day in and day out basis, and they're able to drive a monetary compensation from doing that. But it's really because that they love it so much that they have become experts in what they do, more because of their interest in it than because of some strategy, some outward strategy of, oh, I want to do this, thus I'll pick up these skills even though I hate what I'm doing, just because it'll get me to my next step. For those who do that, and I will say I am guilty of this in the past, you'll find out very quickly that independent of the monetary reward, it is so emotionally and physically draining on you that the reward will never make up for for how much it's draining on you, and you will eventually leave it. And so, what do I mean by brand? And as I said earlier, a brand is how your audience, whether it's your bosses, whether it's the hiring manager, whether it's your colleagues, how are they going to differentiate you from everyone else? I think of most engineers when we come out of school, many of us send our resume around. How does that resume, that 8.5 by 11, really speak to who you are as a person, so that when someone, a hiring manager, is looking at a resume, they can say, yes, you have the skill set, but they can also say, and you will fit into our culture and you will really thrive in what we do. And so, what encompasses your brand right now? And the obvious ones are skill and training. The more important ones in the long run are interests and experience, and most importantly, what are your values? Why do those three outweigh skills and training? Skills and training are the table stakes. They are the absolute minimum you need to get a job. Without the skills and training, you can't get any further. But once you have the skills and training, once you are an engineer, once you have developed those skills that allow you to learn a computer language, a design, how circuits work, everything like that, what differentiates you from the guy right next to you? Those are the next three: your interests, your experience, your values. If you're in a company that values moving fast, taking risks and really being willing to be at the forefront or the leading edge of technology, even if it means that they're going to go over a cliff every now and then, but your values really speak to being conservative, being very thoughtful about which direction you want to go, making sure you're always following the right path. Even if the company is doing well, you will never feel very comfortable in that. And vice versa. In a company that is very well known for going very slowly, very methodically, thinking 3 steps ahead. So, in my experience, Intel always has a 10-year plan. Whatever they're releasing right now, they have the next 10 years worth of products already in their pipeline. They're always looking that far ahead. If you're someone who likes to just go out there and just do and, let the consequences be damned, the environment in Intel is going to stifle you and drive you nuts. So that's what I mean by really using your interests, your experience, and your values to start a conversation with yourself, really initially, and then with future employers about what it is that drives you and makes in a given company, or in which type of position you'll really succeed at. So we talked about what brand is, and we even talked a little bit about why it's important, but I want to really reiterate this. It is what identifies what is unique about you. If you're given a project, there are going to be multiple aspects of a project. In, in which aspects will you truly excel at? Um, when we talk to entrepreneurs, when I'm talking to companies that we're going to invest in, we often talk about something we call the goodness factor. This is what makes you 10 times better than anyone else. In in that context, we need our entrepreneurs to have products that are 10 times better than everyone else, because everyone else is already doing something to solve the problem that they're facing. And it takes something extremely significantly better to get someone to move off of, or to develop enough inertia develop enough need or want to overcome the inertia to stay with what they're doing. In view of branding yourself, you need to identify where you are truly better than everyone else. and really hone in on that. Because if you are truly 10x better than everyone else at something very unique, and you can start to take on projects that really exemplify that piece of you where you are far better than anyone else, you will become a valued asset to your company, and you will feel good about doing it. So if what you are good at is something that you truly enjoy doing, and in fact would do it outside of work anyways, you will become an expert in it relatively quickly. And before I jump into how do you find your brand, I want to talk a little bit about what it means to become an expert at something. There is a study out there, it's been replicated many, many times, that it takes about 10,000 hours of effort before you're truly an expert at anything. So when thinking about something that you're going to say that I'm an expert at, the crux of that question is really going to be, are you really willing to spend 10,000 hours doing that and always trying to become better at that? Or after the first hour, 10 hours, 1,000 hours, is it going to become so annoying to you? Or is it going to pick at your pet peeves so much that you are going to dread doing it for the rest of that time period? So how do you figure out what is your brand? This is probably the hardest thing about what I'm going to talk about today. And the hardest thing is that for most of us, we've never been asked to really think about what makes us different. Especially as engineers, we've been told, do great at math, do great at sciences, do great at school, keep your grades up. Here's the next goal, here's the next goal, here's the next goal. Everyone has been setting goals for us as we've gone through, at least through the end of college. If not, here's how you get to the next promotion, here's how you get to the next grade within our jobs. What we've had very little time of, and there's been very little emphasis on, is really trying to identify a concrete statement about what is it, who is it that you are? What is it that truly makes you unique? And this takes time, this takes effort, and it takes a lot of self-reflection. And here are some of my suggested steps for you. First and foremost, um, as uh, as I've done in the past, I would tell everyone, go out and buy one of those little pocket notebooks, the really, really small ones, the ones that literally can fit in your pocket, you can carry with you everywhere. And carry it around with you for a week and write down everything that makes you unique whenever you think about it. So as you're out driving, well, maybe not driving, but as you're out and about, as you're out shopping, as you're out doing your job, as you are having conversations, as you're socializing, everything and anything. It doesn't have to be work related. Maybe it is that you are a very good game player. Maybe it is that you like, dancing a lot. What at this point, it doesn't matter what it is that you're saying that makes you unique. Write down everything that makes you unique. In addition to that, or maybe after you've started that, reach out to some of the people who know you best. They can be colleagues that have worked with you for a long time, close personal friends, family members, but specifically people who are going to be honest with you, and ask them what makes you unique, good or bad, what makes you different from everyone else out there. As you start to develop this list, start to look at those things that make you unique, and then start to identify those things that bring you contentment. And the point of this is there are going to be lots of things on that list that bring you happiness. Maybe shopping brings you happiness, or money brings you happiness, or a promotion brings you happiness. Put those to the side for a second, and start to think about what really makes you content, what makes you feel stable, um, what really speaks to you on a personal level of just, this is where I want to be, this is what I enjoy doing, this makes me feel good. The reason to focus on those items is that once you've done that, start to think about what are the common threads that run through those things. Maybe it is game playing, but maybe it is that you like to build things. You like to build up characters. Maybe it is game playing because you like to blow things up and you like to take things down and really attack a problem full force. Maybe it is dancing because you like to be around other people. What is it that's the common thread among all these things that bring contentment to you as a person that you can start to develop into a statement as to, if I'm given a project at a job, or if I see a job being posted, here are things that I would be looking for to validate that that job will actually make me happy. Before we start talking about marketing your brand, the other thing to think about for that step, or those steps that I was just talking about, is that this takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of self-reflection, and you're going to get it wrong a lot of the time. As you start down this process, things that you thought made you happy, once you start to really think about it, you'll realize they don't make you happy. Maybe the end result of doing them makes you happy. You're going to start to think about, initially, you're going to identify 5, 10, 20 things that make you happy. But as you start to really think about them, there will become tiers of these. Some things will make you, will be clear winners, and other things, so, and then other things are going to go directly to things we don't care about. It's good to keep this list, and especially for those of us who are already in a job, as we start to think about promotions, or if we're given opportunities to take on new assignments, or most specifically, when we're given a chance to choose between different assignments or different things to do, how do you select which one to take? Lacking any other metric, we often go by what seems to bring the most prestige, or what seems to bring the most value to where we think our career goes, or where we think everyone else thinks we should be doing, or what we should be doing. The idea of this list is to start thinking, okay, forget about what everyone else is telling me I should do, and start thinking about what really speaks to you. Maybe taking a promotion doesn't speak to you because you don't want to be managing other people. You really, truly, honestly enjoy being in the weeds, in the electronics, and don't want to be managing a team of other people who are doing all the work that you wished you were doing. On the flip side, maybe it is that you don't want to take a job that may be critical to the company, but you're not going to succeed at when you know someone else is going to succeed at it, where you'd rather manage the team and help identify the people that are going to truly succeed at doing what needs to be done. Maybe you're more empathetic. Maybe that's really where your bread and butter, where your skill set, where what makes you unique compared to other people in your profession really lies. So it is really important to start to really think through what it is that makes you unique, and take time, spend, especially now that we are all, or at least if you're in Pennsylvania, you're stuck at home. Around the country, most everyone is stuck at home, and for the foreseeable future, we will be stuck at home. Take this time to really start developing who you are, so that once things turn around a little bit, you will really have a clear guidepost as to what you want to go after. And with that, we'll turn to starting to talk about, how do you market yourself and market your brand? Now you have an idea of what your brand is, and to be honest, your brand will continue to evolve throughout your career. But how and why should you align your career to your brand? Yes, it's all sounds well and good, but should you really turn down a promotion because it doesn't fit your brand? The key is something I'd mentioned earlier, and if you truly excel at what you are doing, you will find success. People will notice it. You will do very well at it, and you will receive the rewards, both monetarily and philosophically, of doing something you truly, truly, honestly enjoy doing. On the other hand, if you don't enjoy it, even if you do take the promotion, even if you get promoted, you will resent the job and you won't be able to keep doing it for too long. As I had mentioned earlier, expertise takes about 1,000 hours of practice. So, is this something you really want to spend your time doing, or does it grate on your nerves so much that it isn't worth it? In the legal career, what we used to say is um, our pathway is considered what we'd call it is a pie eating contest. Basically, everyone's in a pie eating contest to see who can survive long enough eating enough pie to win the contest. The unfortunate truth of the matter is that the prize at the end of that contest is just more pie. So if you didn't enjoy eating pie in the first place, guess what? You're not going to enjoy winning that contest. Yes, you might have gotten the prestige of making partner in a law firm or becoming, an executive in an engineering company. But if you didn't enjoy it in the first place, you're not going to enjoy doing even more of it now. Now we know why. Let's talk about how you align your career with your brand. First and foremost is forget about salary and job title. Those are external things. Those are what other people are telling you, are metrics other people are using to value you. The real focus has to be on finding a career, finding a pathway, finding a job, finding a position that really feeds to what your brand is and who you are as an individual. If you can do that, you will succeed and you will know why you're succeeding. So if you've gone through the process of identifying what makes you different from everyone else, and you've identified a career, um, and you identified a career that really meets that that need that you have that will make you happy, you will continue to succeed merely because you enjoy doing it and you're going to keep doing it well. You're going to keep getting better at it because you truly, honestly enjoy doing it. And as you do that, other people will notice as well. Second piece of this is something we hear a lot of is, oh, you're weak at writing, focus more on writing. Oh, you're not very, um, you're not thinking outside of the box. We need to start making you think outside of the box. Oh, you're not good at details. We need to get you focused on details. My point to most of you would be stop focusing on fixing weaknesses. Where you can fix them, that's great, go for it. But weaknesses tend to be focused on areas that you truly don't enjoy. And spending more time fixing them and then becoming well known for being good at something that you don't enjoy in the first place isn't going to help you. Now, you don't want to be so bad at it that your weaknesses are detracting from all of your strengths. But don't put so much of an emphasis on your weaknesses that you start to put more and more time and effort, and people start to get to really know you for all the things you don't like doing rather than all the things that you truly enjoy doing and do very well. Now we started talking about kind of how and why you can start moving your brand out. Let's talk about how do you expand your brand? How do you get people to know you for you and know what it is that you're good at and what it is you want them to know you for? Uh, I don't know how many of you have read John Steinbeck's Cup of Gold, but in the book, he talks about being able to do something 9 times out of 10 and bringing it to someone's attention those 9 times so drastically that the 10th time, no matter what you do, no one's going to notice. Now, if you know the book, I don't want to delve into the ethics of what he was talking about in that sentence, but the point remains when you are doing your job and you found something that you truly enjoy, make sure everyone knows that you enjoy it and that you're doing really well at it. And that this is something that, should they see a problem with in the future, they should bring to you. You want them to really know that this is where your bread and butter is. This is where your true value is. This is how you can really help the company move forward. Outside of your job, outside of the 8 to 5 or whatever hours you work for your job, look for other opportunities to keep expanding that. The The reason for this is you never know what's going to be and where things are going to head. What I've found in the past is if you can find other things that you enjoy doing, that you truly love doing, and you can do with other people who love doing that as much, many times those people will have opportunities that you wouldn't have known about otherwise. And if they know about you and they know what really drives you, and they know that you're really good at it, you will start to see people bringing opportunities to you rather than you having to go search them out yourself. That was a little bit quicker than I had expected, but at this point, I will start taking some questions, and I saw some pop up. Um, I'll try to address them.
Shrikar, there was one question. A person did want to know. She said, "What was the book name?" You must have mentioned a book earlier.
Oh, so I mentioned John Steinbeck's Cup of Gold. That was one of the books. I think that was the one I was at least most recently talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Can you read the questions, or do you need me to read them for you?
I have the questions up, so I'll read them and then I'll answer them. So when I said at your company you can excel, but you have to point out ways that we can build our brand and ourselves in situations where people aren't. Wait, 1 second. I better read this question first. So the question becomes, how do we build ourselves up when everyone else around us doesn't really want to listen to our work or listen to us, or they're too busy with what they're doing, or they don't agree with what we've done and they don't want to hear what it is we've really excelled in doing? My answer to that would be twofold. One is to first take a look at the company and make sure it actually aligns with who you are. If what you are doing and what you're excelling at is not something that they truly value, this may not be the right position for you in the long run. In the short term, even if other people are not recognizing what you're doing and when you're trying to market yourself out as being good at a specific thing and no one's really listening, continue to work at it. If it is truly something that you enjoy doing and you have opportunities to do it, continue doing it, with the caveat that if this is truly the situation, those opportunities, you may find that those opportunities are limited because either the company doesn't value those same activities or they don't value you doing those activities, in which case continue to do them, continue to do your work, but maybe you have to start thinking about other opportunities to really grow in your own career, even if it's not with this company. I'm sorry, I'm reading the next question down. So the question ends up being, what happens if your company doesn't value your initiative to go out and expand your own professional network, to take part in these other activities, and so takes actions to kind of thwart what you are doing by, say, assigning you more work or trying to keep you in the office more hours, because if you've got free time to do these things, well, you must have free time to do more work for us. To an extent, I'm gonna repeat what I said before, unfortunately, but if your company isn't valuing your initiative to go out and continue to build your skill set, the drive it takes to keep going and doing things to make yourself better at what you do, they may not value you in the same, they may not value the things about you that you truly value about yourself. And thus, they may not be the best long-term solution for you. But That being said, if it is a job that you truly enjoy doing and you are enjoying doing what you are doing, keep doing it. Maybe you have to cut back. Maybe it isn't that you go out and volunteer at IEEE, or if you like talking, going out to Toastmasters or doing anything else. Maybe it is you take those same activities and doing them internally with some of your coworkers. So whether it is talking to coworkers in different parts of your company about how you guys can work together to get problems done, or giving more presentations if that's what you enjoy doing, or whatever it happens to be that you enjoy doing, even if you can't do it externally, maybe there are ways for you to do more of that internally and thereby align your goals with what your company feels as its needs from you. The last question up right now, and I would ask other people to ask questions if they have any, is how can we use our network to brand ourselves? And that is a key thing. And so when I talk to some of my colleagues about building a network, we often talk about two different types of networks. One, the network inside your company, and the other is the network outside of your company. And we often talk about two different types of um, advisors in both of those networks. One of them we often call mentors, and one of them we often call angels. So mentors are people in your company who want you to succeed, and they have a vested interest in you succeeding. Think of your boss or someone who brought you into the company, or someone even in a different department who is taking you under their wing and wants to see you succeed, and your success will actually make them see you even better. They are great people to bounce ideas off. They know the internal culture of your company. They know kind of how things work, and they can really help you move your career forward, assuming you know where you want your career to go. And they can often help you figure out, okay, here's what I want to do. Who do I need to talk to get me in front of the right people to do what I want to do? Angels, on the other hand, are people outside of your company. These are people who have no intrinsic value, interest in how your career progresses, but have a interest in you as a person. So for me, I've had a judge at one of the courts I worked at who is still one of my angels. One of my former bosses from years ago is one of my angels. These people have kept up with me over years and decades now to help me whenever I have trouble, whenever I'm thinking about moving a job or taking a different position, or taking on a new responsibility, I'll often run it by these angels who are outside of the company and can't speak to the company culture, but can give me an outside perspective as to what they think it really means for me as a person. Both of these people know me very well. They've known me for years. They know me both inside and outside of work. They know my family. They know kind of what drives me as a person. And so they can say, this may be a great move for you within the company, but this really runs against your values or what we know of who you are as a person. I don't think that this is a good move for you on the long term. Or vice versa, they might say, this is absolutely perfect for you. This is great, and here's what we think you should do in view of taking this. Here's how it's really going to align with who you are. A lot of times they can give you more valuable feedback than someone who's inside the company because they're not clouded by any of the company specific knowledge. They just know you. All they really care about is what's best for you. They have this incentive for you to just do well because they want you to do well. And they're looking at much more long term. They're looking at your career over the next decade, not over the next 6 months. They want you to do very well. So I tend to find that having a balance of mentors inside the company who can help me out and angels outside of the company who can provide me more long-term guidance and feedback, and often much more experience because they haven't been in one company. They've been in multiple companies. They haven't been in my company. They've been in different companies. They can give me a kind of more holistic view as to how my decisions are going to affect me over the long term.
Shrikar, someone did send a question. They sent it to me. He asked, how long did it take you to discover your brand?
So I'm still figuring it out, but it has taken me 3 career changes. So as I described and said initially, I was an engineer. I worked for Intel for 6 years. I left. I became a lawyer for 7 years. I went and got my MBA, and now I work for angel investing and helping companies grow. Um, for me to really get past thinking about what everyone else thought was best for me and start to really think about what made me happy. It's been an ongoing process. It's had its ups and downs, uh, both in terms of career, in terms of salary, in terms of being laid off or leaving jobs or anything you can think of that you're going to go through. I've probably been through. I've been through some of the worst bosses, some of the best bosses. But what all of that has led me to believe is that independent of anything else, what's most important is that you're happy. Small company, big company, no job is secure. But if you can prove that you're good at what you do and you really enjoy it, someone, whether in your company or outside of your company, will value that and will bring you on to help you kind of develop that, as long as you can figure out what that is.
Yeah, I just sent you another question. I can read it to you if you like.
That would be great.
It says, it's a long one. It says, determining what a company truly values often can only be determined by spending time employed in that culture. How does one avoid the feeling to jump to another company, and how long is reasonable to give a company a chance to fit?
So the the question goes to a very key point. You're not going to be able to figure out exactly what a corporate culture is before you jump in. Um, what you can do is you can look at things like Glassdoor, other review sites. You can talk to people you know in the company and those who have left the company, understanding that only the people who truly love it or truly hate it have enough of an incentive to go out and write anything about a company. Unless they're so in love with the company that they say that they have to shout it to the world, or they so hate the company that they think that they have to shout it to the world, they're not going to write much about it. So you're getting the very tiptoe ends of the spectrum of opinions, but it will give you an idea of what you're walking into in terms of cultural fit. Um, the other thing is to use the interview process. So as you're going through, whenever I've interviewed people, I've often spent time, and whenever I've been interviewed, there's often this time where the interviewer asks if there are any questions that you have, and a lot of the questions go to work-life balance or um, you know typical mundane things. There's 100 things on Google about questions interviewees should ask to interviewers. Um, but my point to you would be use the time if you're looking at a new company to interview the interviewer. Is this just as they're assessing you to see if you're someone that they would want to go and grab drinks with after work? Are you someone that they would want to work with generally? As you go through the interview process, think about all the people you're meeting through the day, knowing that they're on their best behavior. Are these the people that after a hard day of work, you would want to go and grab a drink with, you'd want to go and play football with, you'd want to go and spend some time with? Or are they not? And that would probably gives you kind of the best idea of whether the company is going to be a fit for you, because the company culture as it is only the culture as defined by the people in it. So if the people who are interviewing you define a culture that you probably are not thrilled about, you can guess that the company is probably not going to be having the type of culture that you're going to really fit into. Give a company a chance.
Streetbird, right now I don't see any other questions. Uh, I'll give people a final opportunity to type in any questions that they may have. In the meantime, I want to remind folks that they found this particular topic interesting. On May 5th at 2 p.m., Eastern Standard Time. IEEE USA has another webinar entitled How to Build More Brand Loyalty as a Person, an Employee, a Leader, and a Company. If you found this topic interesting, we'd hope you follow and attend this webinar, next webinar on May 5th. Oh, wow. Another question came in, and it's actually quite a long one. I'm gonna read it to you. It came directly to me. It says, I found that finding acceptable people to work with is sometimes as challenging as finding a position one enjoys. Would you say that there's a balance between finding good people to work with and liking the work you do? In other words, is it worth compromising the likability of a particular position because the people and relationships that you've found make it worth the time?
I think that that's absolutely true. I think that company culture is something that is extremely important. And so maybe even more important than finding the right job is finding the right people to work with, because they will change how you feel about your job. I think it's at least equally important between finding the right types of work that really speak to you as a person and finding the right people that really value you as a person to work with. That's going to make the career that you end up in very valuable. And so I think that that question is dead to rights correct, that it's at least equally important to find the right people. And as we discussed in the previous question, using the interview process to interview the people that are interviewing you to see if they're people you want to spend time with is extremely important, because in the end, you're going to spend at least 8 hours a day, if not more, with these people, more time than you spend with your family. These are the type of people you want to spend time, you want to know that you truly click with.
Cool. All right, well, Shrikar, I don't see any more questions. I'll give you a chance to say any final words.
I truly enjoyed giving this presentation. You guys have my email up on the screen right now. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Please reach out to me and connect with me. If you have any other questions, I'm always willing to answer this, and I truly enjoyed this. So thank you very much.
Well, IEEE USA wants to thank you very much as well. And with that, everyone, I want to thank y'all for attending. Please check out our IEEE USA webinar page for our future webinars, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm going to end the webinar now. Bye-bye.